So, dito naman, pag-usapan natin yung checks and balances principle. So, ito medyo madugo to. In this part of the topic, makikita natin dito na they are separated, may kanya-kanya silang kapangyarihan, and these branches of the government, they are very powerful, pero each and every one or each of them can actually check and balance yung ginagawa ng bawat isa. So just in case na mayroong grave abuse of discretion, mayroong corrupt practices, merong quote-unquote katarantaduhan na ginawa ang isang branch of the government, merong mechanism ang ating constitution para i-check agad, okay, yung ginagawa ng isa pang branch ng government. And makikita natin yon sa checks and balances principle. And lahat ito ay nakasulat sa Constitution. So magkakaroon lang tayo ng rundown, isang mabilis na kung paano chine-check ng Congress ang executive branch, which is nandito sa top corner sa gisag ng Pangulo ng Pilipinas. So kung paano chine-check ni Congress sa executive branch, paano chine-check ni Congress si Supreme Court or ang Courts of Justices natin, and paano chine-check ni executive, si legislative, si judiciary, paano chine-check ni judiciary, si Congress, and executive. So basically, may kita natin kung paano yung checks and balances principle. Pero disclaimer lamang, makikita nyo agad na sobrang daming kapangyarihan ng Congress. Okay? By principle, sobrang dami nilang kapangyarihan to check both or each branches. Okay? Pero makikita din natin dito na si Supreme Court is one of its powers is sobrang makapangyarihan to check the other two. So let's talk about Congress, how the Congress checks the executive branch. So if you look at the illustration or dun sa presentation, one of the powers of the Congress to check and balance the executive branch is one, they can override the veto power of the president. Pwede nilang ibasura yung pagbasura ng presidente or the presidential veto. Kasi ang presidente natin, one of his powers is to approve or reject bills drafted by the Congress. So, hindi pwede maging batas ang isang bill na ginawa ng Congress kung hindi ito pipirma ng presidente. Kapag hindi ito pinirmahan ng presidente, but after 30 days, hindi niya pinirmahan, automatic magiging batas to. Pero, yun na nga, the president has the power to reject those bills. So, yun yung isa sa way para i-check ni executive branch si Congress. Just in case na meron gawin si Congress na batas na sa tingin ng Pangulo ay hindi maganda para sa bansa. Pero, at the same time, just in case na si executive branch is hindi niya masyado siyang, lagi niyang trip or hindi niya trip yung ginagawa ni Congress, and even if the Congress thinks na, teka, maganda naman yung batas na ginagawa ko para naman to sa bayan and si president or the executive branch, masyado siyang, epal. Grabe siya. So, anong pwedeng gawin ni Congress? So, one way of checking and balance the executive branch is they have the power to override the veto power of the president. Pwede nila ibasura yung pagbasura ng presidente. Second, they appropriate the national budget. So, yung ginawang budget ng executive branch or yung budget na ginawa ng gobyerno, hindi siya pwedeng mag-take into force kung walang batas or walang appropriations na ginawa ang Congress. Remember this, na ang Congress lamang po ang branch ng government na meron tinatawag na power of the purse or meron kapangyarihan pagdating sa pera. Siya lang ang pwedeng maglabas ng pera or gumawa ng batas para gumawa or maglabas ng pera mula sa National Treasury or mula sa gobyerno. And the president has no power of the purse dahil ang power niya lang po is the power of the sword. Ang power niya lang is to execute laws. Pero hindi siya pwede maglabas ng pera. And the only institution na pwede maglabas ng pera through appropriation power, through law, is the Congress. So, yun yung one way of the Congress to check the president. So, another power of the Congress to check the president is to ratify treaties signed by the president. Remember this, na ang ating Senate, specifically the Senate, only the Senate can ratify treaties signed by the president. Hindi pwede magkaroon ng treaty ang ating bansa hanggat hindi ito inaaprobahan ng Senado or ng ating Congress. Hindi pwedeng pumasok ang Pilipinas sa isang treaty with other countries without the Congress, without the Senate. Okay? So, kunyari, let's say, halimbawa yung West Philippine Sea, legally, iiwan na natin siya. Pwede ba kunyari, halimbawa, balak ng presidente na ibigay na lang sa China or maybe makipagtulungan lang with China. Okay, gusto ng presidente makipagtulungan sa China through treaties. Para solid. Para solid na merong treaty sila. Hindi siya pwede mag-materialize kung hindi naman siya papayagan ng Congress. Kasi if the Congress thinks na hindi tama or hindi maganda yung balak ng Pangulo or hindi maganda yung balak ng executive branch, they can automatically or not ratify yung treaty ng presidente with other countries. Same goes with pagtanggal ng mga treaties na yon. Okay? So, pwede yan i-check ng Congress or ng Senate. So, another power of the Congress to check the president is to confirm or reject presidential appointees. So, yung mga appointees ni president, pwede siyang i-confirm or pwede siyang i-reject ng Congress. So, meron po tayong tinatawag na Commission on Appointments. Sila ay binubuo ng 15 na tao. So, 12 from the Senate, 12 from the House of Representatives, and of course, yung ating presiding officer doon is the Senate President. So, basically, sila yung nagde-decide kung i-approve ba nila yung appointees ni President or hindi. So, ayun, yun yung way. And last power of the Congress to check the President or the executive branch, even singit ko na si Supreme Court, is impeachment. So, through impeachment power, they can check both branches of the government, executive or judiciary. Pwede nilang i-impeach yung mga leaders doon. You have the president, the vice president, the justices of the Supreme Court, chief justice, even ombudsman. Pwede po nilang tanggalin sa posisyon through impeachment if they think that these leaders from both branches of the government is, far-reaching or committing abuses or committing corruption. Okay? So, pag-uusapan natin yan in a different video. So, yan. Yun yung ways ni Congress to check the president. And how do Congress check the Supreme Court or the courts of justice? So, you have impeachment of Supreme Court members. They can create or abolish new statutory courts or inferior courts. Sila ang gumagawa ng mga korte. Okay? Hindi po ang Supreme Court, hindi po ang mga korte ang gumagawa ng korte, but the Congress. And they can propose amendments to overrule judicial decisions. They can do that. Ganon ang ginagawa ng Congress to check the courts of justice. So, paano naman chine-check ni dito tayo kay Supreme Court or ng judiciary? Sige, pakita natin siya. Paano chine-check ni judiciary, si Congress, and si President or ang executive branch? So, through judicial review, it is the power of the Supreme Court or the courts of justice to declare acts of the government as unconstitutional. So, anong meron dito? If ni-review ni Supreme Court or ng kahit anong korte, to be exact, kung pag ni-review nila yung ginagawa ng Congress at ginagawa ng Presidente, and if they see na hindi sumusunod sa Constitution, yung mga ginagawa nila, they can declare it as unconstitutional. And if dineclare na unconstitutional ang ginagawa ng Congress, let's say for example, batas, kung ang batas ay unconstitutional, hindi sumusunod sa Constitution, hindi base sa Constitution, yung batas na to, or yung batas na yun will be declared null and void. Wala na siyang kwenta. Kasi nga, hindi siya sumusunod sa Konstitusyon. Yun yung isa sa kapangyarihan ng mga korte natin to check the powers or to check and balance the Congress. Same goes with the President or other members of the executive branch. If the Supreme Court or the courts in general sees na yung acts ng executive branch, let's say for example of the police, because police is part of the executive branch, nakita nila na hindi sumusunod sa tamang proseso o hindi sumunod sa konstitusyon yung ginawa nila, those actions of the government, specifically of the executive branch, if they are declared unconstitutional, then therefore, mawawalang bisa kung ano man yung ginawa nila or mapapawalang sala kung sino man yung taong pinarusahan ng executive, ng kahit anong executive body. So, doon natin makikita na ang Supreme Court, one of its power is to interpret the law and interpret the Constitution. and the courts can use can use the laws or the constitution to protect us. Kasi yun naman yung goal naman talaga ng korte is to protect us from, of course, mula sa mga tao and at the same time, mula sa gobyerno when it comes to abuses. Okay? And how do executive branch check or balance the Congress and Supreme Court? Very basic. The president can reject bills drafted by the Congress and he can call for special sessions of the Congress. And then, of course, one of the powers of the president is to appoint judges in the Supreme Court or in the courts kasi siya yung nag-appoint ng Chief Justice, ng Associate Justice. So, since yun yung isa sa trabaho niya, in a way, na-check niya or nababalanse niya yung mga nilalaman ng Supreme Court and you have the pardon power. So, just in case, let's say, for example, meron nakulong through the pardoning power of the president, just in case, kunwari, meron naging maling decision sa Supreme Court or maybe it's about time for that person to be let go of, through pardon power of the president, makakalaya yung tao na ikinulong or ipinakulong ni korte. So, yun yung different powers of each branches of the government to check and balance each one of them. Yun yung mechanism na ginawa ng mga framers natin para yung parts of or yung ating branches of the government is hindi naman sila gumawa ng kalokohan para mag-suffer tayo mga tao. And yung konsepto kasi ng checks and balances or the principle of separation of powers and checks and balances is to protect us, of course. Iprotektahan tayo mga tao mula sa gobyerno kung saan minsan yung iba sa kanila is sobra-sobra yung pag-exercise ng kapangyarihan na yon. So, yun yung checks and balances principle and separation of powers. So, in the next video, ang pag-uusapan naman natin is tungkol sa demokrasya. What is democracy? Ano yung konsepto ng democracy? And paano siya related dito sa topic natin na to? So, if you have other questions, please comment doon sa comment section natin. Magtanong lang kayo sa akin or magtanong lang kayo through message sa mga estudyante ko. If you have questions, just send me a message and pag-usapan natin yan. So in the next or in the next videos in the future, subukan natin pag-usapan or magpo-produce pa ako ng mga videos na pwede pa makatulong sa ating lahat. So maraming salamat po. Please like, subscribe, and peace. Peace. Thank you. So thank you guys. Sa susunod na video tayo, what is democracy? Maraming salamat.